Hey everybody, welcome to a candid conversation with two incredible friends of mine who I've known for a long time, and I'm honored to not only be their friends, but to see all of the great things that they've been doing. They're hard workers, they're great fathers, they're great friends. So welcome to the podcast, Mr. Kyle Deck and Joseph Phillips. Excited to have you guys here.
Thanks, What's up, buddy?
So why don't you guys go ahead and set it up and explain who you are, what you do, how you got here. Not here, but to where what you're
I use
doing.
Waze. No, I'm Kyle Deck. I'm along with Joseph, one of the co-owners of Another Round Disc Golf. Our flagship store is in Charlotte. Joe and I were college roommates, longtime buddies, and went into this disc golf thing together back in 2019. And I've kind of been on a ride ever since.
It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, Kyle and I are college roommates, buddies. I got him into disc golf. He was living in Florida. I was living here in Charlotte. He got super into it. Do you think our friendship made you move to Charlotte, or disc golf, or what percentage?
It was both. It was some percentage of both for sure, but it was funny how the two things are intertwined, right? You came down when you were moving Kennan into Southeastern, and you texted me the day before, said, "Hey, we're going out to try this new thing called disc golf." My dad introduced me and Kennan to it. Been playing a little bit. And so you took me and Amanda out, played at Edward Medard Park in Plant City. After we were done, you gave me 2 discs. Justin gave Amanda 2 discs. And the next day we took our best friends, Tyler and Lindsay Smith, out to play disc golf. And we've been hooked ever since.
So explain what this is. A fast-growing sport.
It's super niche. Yeah,
and
it's worth
super
explaining.
Great. And if you're looking for a hobby that is cheap and fun, and you can always get better at it. If you've got that personality, what is disc golf in your best explanation?
Disc golf is golf, but you're using frisbees. So you throw from a
got one behind you there. You can use that as an example.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty cool stamp and store on the front of it.
Yeah, you take one of these, you start on a tee pad, and you throw towards a little metal cage.
Yeah.
And you complete the hole when this disc goes into the basket and comes to rest. The cool thing about disc golf, it's one of the reasons that I'm so bullish on it, like long-term big picture, is that the whole thing is built on public infrastructure. There's public parks all over the country.
Yeah.
It is, I would say 98% of disc golf is played on free public parks. And so, you buy a couple of frisbees, and you can either be like this shallow into it and still enjoy playing it, or you can go super insane with it and, buy 100 discs, and they all do different things.
Which, if you're going to do that, shop at Another Round Disc Golf.
Throwanotheround.com.
Yeah, this is just a big commercial.
PR, and so you guys introduced disc golf to him.
Introduced him to the sport. He moves up to Charlotte, took a corporate job, was making good money. It was a great job, whatever. But I'm not going to speak for you, but soulless. Not enjoying himself.
Look, it was industrial kitchen soap. All right, we can. There's not that many ways to make it sound more
That's
important
the most
than it was.
attractive thing that I've ever.
No, but it was good. It was good money, and on paper, it's a good job, right? But he would call me every day after work on the drive and just be like, I'm gonna put my head through a wall. Like this is mindless. This is not what I want to be doing. At the same time, there was a little frisbee store in Charlotte called Another Round. And so the concept is a disc golf shop and a tap room. So they have like a little bar. And so I got sick of paying $10 for coffee every day. So I would go to the frisbee store because that's where I enjoyed being anyway. Yeah. Would sit at the end of the bar, work on stuff. Well, I found out they're not doing great. They're going to potentially either go under or look to sell. And Kyle called me in close proximity to one of those conversations with the people there, and I was like, dude, we're in our early 30s. We both love disc golf. We're obsessed with. I mean, like, obviously, you've gone through the obsession, and have ridden that wave.
You took me into the deep end.
Yeah, exactly. So, super obsessed with it. It's all we want to talk about, and I'm like, okay, he's super angsty about his job.
Yeah,
I'm in ministry, but trying to figure out a way to make some money and be successful and set my family up for success, and also not wanting to do it from within the church.
Yeah.
The model that I felt like called to do was not going to be very
Or in the
financially
marketplace,
successful.
yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, Kyle, we're not going to get very many chances to take big swings with, the older you get, the harder big risk is. So I'm like, let's just see it. Let's go take a meeting, basically.
Yeah.
And it took like 8 months or
It was
something.
a long process, a lot of conversations, a lot of research.
A lot of ups and downs. It's, for people that are listening, it's like, it's almost like a snickering kind of response to disc golf. It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
So like, knowing that we're super into it, but the public, how viable is this? And so we went around and around about it. And, we finally decided, look, what the heck, clear the 401k, take every nickel we could from relatives, scrape it all together and take a big risk, take a big swing. And we took over May 1st of 2019.
So let's just take out the, for those who don't fully comprehend what disc golf is, let's just look at it as a life decision, business opportunity. So you came into something that wasn't necessarily thriving into now Charlotte is known as the #1 disc golf city in America, or one of the best ones.
Yeah, definitely. It's on every list.
But, pre-pandemic it wasn't thriving to where it is now, although it was still good. What inside of you said, I see something that's not thriving, an opportunity that's kind of decent, and then you took it to the place of there's incredible potential here and we need to jump on this? Like how did you come to that decision? What pushed you there? Was it encouraging each other? Was it just, we love this, so let's see what happens? How did you get to that point to where you end up now to something that wasn't where it is now, and now it's extremely successful?
Sure. Well, I know in a lot of the conversations Joe and I had in the lead up to it, it was a lot about the people that we could be around. The disc golf community is an unbelievably tight group of participants.
Yeah.
Because what you find is people who are, it is the most passionate thing in their life, right? It's their biggest hobby typically, especially if you're the type of person that's coming around a disc golf store. Like if you've passed that entry barrier, right?
Yeah.
So what we wrote down, Joe and I were at my house all the time coming up with ideas. One of the things, so we had a big Post-it board. One of the things we wrote down, I still have it. It says the best people we know are in disc golf. We can be the hub for those people. And so when you talk about, like when Joe talks about the way that he wanted to do church, the type of ministry that he was called to, that was something that inspired me too, because it was very much people first. And it was about, how can we provide this place that people really want to be passionate about and go from there. And so that was what attracted me, was like getting to work with really passionate people on something that they were equally passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's been really creatively fulfilling over the last almost 6 years now.
It's wild.
So it wasn't even just a business opportunity or something that could, do well for you financially. It was also, you saw an opportunity to create space for community.
It's not an Amazon drop ship empire, like just money hack.
Right.
Like we're going to, buy a apartment complex and we're going to jack rent up because it's a good money thing. For us, it was like obviously there's financial goals with it. Like we want it to be a successful business. And one of the beautiful things about business that's different from being in ministry mindset is if the goal is to make money, it's super clear,
Yeah.
But also within that, you can do a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was definitely a personal thing. Like we wanted to try to do good within something. And there was this big need. There was a felt need for it. Like one of the things that I told Kyle was it would be a real shame for this place to go under, because there's like a lot of like random places that sell discs or whatever. But this concept, like it's such a good concept.
Yeah.
It's such a space that like needs to exist because it is such a niche thing. If you're on an airplane, you're a disc golfer. Like if you stood up and like, who in here knows what disc golf is?
Yeah.
Like four hands.
Yeah.
Who in here plays disc golf or has played disc golf? Maybe one hand. All right. Who loves it? None.
Yeah.
You can't talk to anybody about it.
Right.
And so it's like, it's the same level of niche as like somebody that plays Dungeons and Dragons or something.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not going to stay that level, and it has grown incredibly, but there needs to be a place for those people to gather and to have a space.
I think it forces community to happen. I know for me, the first time that I played was with my wife and her family. And it was the first time I met
Tennessee,
her parents.
Right?
We went and hung out. We hung out with them and played in Tennessee. And then we came back and we played Bradford in Huntersville, North Carolina. And we were in like halfway through the round, and my wife hits the cage, and I'm like, okay, now I have to be good at this. And she beat me for like the first month of disc golf, and then I became completely obsessed. But it became a community for me because 4 months later, she went to South America to do missions work for almost 2 years, and I played with you and your brother.
Was that the Am League
dad.
Years?
Oh, dude! Every Thursday night at Sugar Creek with Jim Banbury, my guy.
That's so. I know this is like a tangent. We're trying to keep things broad, but that level of community there, it's 100 people or 80 people that show up every week, and there's like there's structure to it. There's Jim that's leading the thing, and then but like he's the one that is creating and cultivating the space. He took it dead seriously. He made those PDF sheets of everybody's handicap every week.
Every week.
He did
new printed sheet off.
He was not
new
messing
plastic,
around.
Ready to go.
And so it gave us this space. And like the seeds of that happened during that time. And I would look forward to that. Like Thursday nights.
Always.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, by noon, I'm like, I should probably start heading over that way.
Yeah, get a warm up round in. So to answer your question earlier, like kind of joking about what we moved up here for, was it the disc golf or was it because we were? It was a lot of both. When Amanda and I would come up to visit Charlotte, we would plan our trips around making sure that we were here Thursday, so that I could go to Sugar Creek Am League with you guys and like. That community in not just disc golf, but I think it's a human need, right? Like it's so important to how people exist in a healthy way. And so like that community is what drew me. We had great communities down in Florida as well where I was learning to play. And it was that same thing. That's what drew me to disc golf. Ultimately to Charlotte, and then to this opportunity with another round.
Because no matter what happened in that week, you always knew that we were going to see the guys on Thursday night.
Yep.
We were probably going to play 5 people with the 3 of us, KP and Jim, tee off 1, hang out with Duffy. Shout out. I love that man.
No, it was really special. And like, meaning friendship, nothing ever happens abstractly. It never happens in some like cloud of generality. It's all like, it has to find something specific. And so, disc golf is the excuse. It's the excuse for being out in the woods and being quiet and not being, attached to your phone. It's the excuse for 4 or 5 people to get together and spend 3 hours together and, also not being on our phones, not whatever. So I think, those memories are really special and important. And I think that formed something in me, some kind of desire, something that was like those people that I knew there, and that, we can expand this out so that it's not a one-night thing, but there's a space and then now spaces all across the country that have that kind of ethos, that feeling.
So let's talk about that. So took over something. Do you remember when was that you guys
May 1st,
signed,
2019.
took over? May 1st, 2019. So now 5 years later, just over 5 years later, you've seen a little bit of success. You have multiple stores. Do you want to talk about the decision to okay, this is an incredible community, incredible opportunity, business opportunity. Now this is going to be something that's more than just in Charlotte. When did you make that decision? How many stores do you have now? How did those get connected? I mean, you can share maybe your favorite one or just one, but.
Well, the first goal starting May of 2019 was the store had kind of gone downhill. Wasn't doing well, was probably a couple of months from going under, just financially, whatever. The goal initially was, let's rebuild the reputation of this thing. Let's focus on Charlotte. I mean, I don't even know if we've ever talked about this. How long do you think, when we initially talked, how long do you think that period was in our minds? Like 3 years?
3 years.
So,
because I started the tournament series in our first full year in 2020.
And it was like, let's do good things. Let's build this community back up. Let's, make
especially in 2020, a year after, and a year that people are begging for community.
Well, yeah.
And
So
that was the kind of kickoff to some of the accelerant.
So the first 8 or 9 months were like, let's just do really good for Charlotte. It was
Rebuild
super
the
focused on that.
foundation. Yeah.
On our whiteboards, of course, when you're doing these dream sessions, like, yeah, we'd love to, this crazy goal of this thing to become a national brand, whatever. So pandemic hits 5 minutes into us being open, basically. We think we're going to lose everything. We're freaking out, cleared his 401k.
Just made this huge decision.
Taking every loan from family we can, biggest swing. And so the
both had newborns.
Yeah, the thought was,
small detail that radically changes your life.
Fun. Yeah. So the thought was, okay, if we're not going to be able to exist as a brick and mortar store that's selling stuff, and we've got all these Frisbees, we're gonna have to push the thing of going online, becoming some sort of a national brand, and that was the thing that really was the catalyst for thinking farther into the future. But now it's like all the things that were out there at some point, like, well, it looks like it's coming sooner. So started to become a national brand, started doing a ton of content, started really pushing that side of things. Found some success doing it, started to see like people really latch onto it. And we had some customers, the first franchise, we had some customers that were from Charlotte that had moved out to Denver that had seen what the store meant in Charlotte and said, like, it's crazy that this doesn't exist out here. Denver is such an incredible place, and the disc golf scene here is so good. The community here needs this. I know that this is off in the future for you guys, but would you be willing to consider doing it sooner? And, the thing that I tell people all the time is Kyle and I are not like Wharton business grads. We're not like gurus. We just kind of looked at each other like,
seems right.
I guess.
Denver is good.
Yeah.
These guys are good. I guess we can try to figure it out. And so,
So you now have gone from Denver to 9 stores, correct?
Mm-hmm.
9 stores in how long?
Well, when did Denver open? October of 21?
October of 21. So right at 3 years worth of growth.
That's nuts.
It is really nuts.
It's really
like,
crazy.
you do know that, right? Like,
and
opening up 9 stores, even take the whole time, restoring something that wasn't blowing up yet, and then putting 9 more shops across the country in under 5 years. That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's been really crazy.
Like, don't miss that. That's crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
It really is. And you see how Joe and I react to it. It's super humbling, right? Like, this was originally, we had a goal of like, all right, we're going to try this. It's at least going to give me kind of a palate cleanse from the corporate world, and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So like you said, we're not Wharton people. Like, we all went to Southeastern. Like, I'm sports management. Like, he's ministry focused. Like, we're just figuring this out, but it's, to bring it back, it's incentivizing to do it because of the people we get to work with. Like, that's the understated side of the franchises that we've opened, is that the people that run it are just some of the best people you'll ever meet. And that's what's been cool, is that we're able to find, this group of people that we pictured on our giant Post-it 6 years ago. The best people in disc golf are now, that's who's attracted to the vision that we have, and we're getting to meet these like-minded people who share our values at their base.
Right.
That's why they're reaching out. And so to get to work with that is just been an incredibly rewarding experience too.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why I don't like super react to that, one, of course, it's very humbling and cool. But what's been insane for us is that because of the growth and because of the success or whatever, or just what people are drawn to in us, we probably turned down 20 to 1 that we've opened, of like legitimate people that are reaching out. And maybe it's just the wrong town, wrong timing, whatever, something's off in it. But we've had to like control the growth.
Yeah.
Because if this was just a money grab thing, legitimately we could have 50 stores open.
Right.
Minimum.
Yeah.
And, for us, it was always, it's got to be the right people. It's got to be the right place, and like really strategic in how we've grown. And so now that we have been really patient and have made the right calls, time and time again. Thank God, because I can't imagine the kind of existential cost and,
Right.
whatever of having one fail in a way
'Cause
that was
that's all
super
it takes.
public.
Yeah.
Now we've got systems in place, and we've got like so to go from, we're at 9 now, we're about to announce 10, 11, and 12 in the next probably 3 or 4 months. Now that we're at that number, the time now to go from 12 to 30 I think will be much quicker than the time
Than
that it
0 to
took.
12.
Yeah, 0 to 12.
So I think that's as important. This is an important thing to talk about because this is something that I'm talking to with our leadership team, is that sometimes we can become so growth focused that you sacrifice culture, and that's not what you want to do. Like, you want to make sure that you're replicating culture. And what I believe about the culture of the organization is that the culture of your organization is always a reflection on the character of its leader. That whatever organization, whether it be a church or something that's in the marketplace, it will always reflect the leadership that it has. So another round disc golf will always be a reflection in its culture of who you two are, which is very, I think, important for us to understand that it's not always easy to navigate with multiple leaders jumping in at the same time. So how have you guys navigated, um, healthy communication, knowing your roles? Maybe what do each of your roles look like? Because it seems like, outside looking in, obviously I know the two of you very well, um, but you have a understanding of, this is my gifting and this is your gifting, so let's run in that. How did you establish that, and how do you continue to operate in it so that the culture doesn't take a hit?
I mean, part of it, Joe and I have been friends since college, and so we've got a pretty good understanding of where our giftings are. If I had to go out and film aces and edit content and do those kind of things, it would go really poorly because I'm not gifted in that area. If Joe had to figure out how to open Excel, it wouldn't go well because you know what I mean.
Everybody has their giftings.
Everybody's got their giftings, and so it's but on the same time is that we're both super supportive of the other, and understand from the jump that we're working towards the same goal, and so that's one of the ways that we've kind of established that on the local level with these franchises. One of the things we tell them is that part of the reason that we set it up to where it's 100% owned by the local owners, right? Joe and I don't keep a piece of it. We set it up so that everybody's incentivized for everybody to grow. And so we just empower them. We tell them, like, listen, we want it to feel like another round culturally, but in the font of your city, right? So whatever you need, whatever your city, what Greenville needs a disc golf store to look like is different than what Charlotte needs a disc golf store to look like.
Drastically different places.
But exactly, they're different places. Their cultures are different around how they approach the game. Asheville sees more with tourism. Denver's a very beer heavy market, so their tap room is structured differently than ours. All these type of things. But what it comes together to be able to support is now 9 different store owners being in a position to have these conversations back and forth. When in disc golf, that's not an easy thing to come by if you're a retailer. When you think about a lot of other industries, my family was in ministry growing up, so I know, if my dad's got a pastoral question, he's got something that he's running into, he can pick up the phone and call 75 different pastors that he's got really close relationships with who have been through similar situations. That's not the case in disc golf retail. It's a niche within a niche. And so to now have
it's competitive. It's versus ministry, which is like we both want each other to win.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a great point. Yeah. So we've got nine now stores all driving towards the same goal, because if Denver grows, that's really good for everybody else, from Salt Lake to Greenville to Hattiesburg. All these places, it's really important, or it's really helpful to them. So everyone is incentivized to work together and create this kind of encyclopedia of knowledge.
It's good
for everyone to share from, because we're all working towards the same thing.
Yeah. So what would you say, simply, like, week to week, the roles are for the two of you and how they differ?
So we're obviously like a large established business, but we are still in startup mode. Like, we are still in
First
that,
5
like,
years.
We have a limited number of salaried staff. We've got 2 full-time salaried guys in Charlotte, not a bunch, but several hourly people. So everybody's wearing a lot of hats. So week to week, it almost never looks exactly the same. Broadly, I'm doing a lot of the onboarding for new franchises, a lot of calls, a lot of just getting those early phases. The growth for me right now, and for us in general, is bringing in. So in the beginning, it's run and gun. It's like if a ship is sinking or almost sinking, everybody's throwing water out of the thing. We're
Right.
all just trying to keep the thing afloat.
Yeah.
Now, as we're getting more established and trying to put more healthy like systems in place and layers of leadership, and this is what your thing is, and this is what your thing is. And one of the things that I've always wanted is that all of the pieces, all of the individual franchisees, that the central leader or leaders are contributing something back to the whole.
It's good.
That is tracks with their skill sets and their giftings, whatever. And so there's a lot more structure that's being implemented right now. That's the next thing, is like us sort of growing up as a company and not just being super put fires out every day and just, you do this because I got to do this, and if we don't do it, the thing's going to go down.
Right.
So Kyle does a lot of our tournament stuff. He does a lot of our operational stuff. He's even yesterday's like packing orders in the warehouse because we had a huge influx of orders. Like, we're all doing whatever it takes to just keep the thing going. And the next phase of this is really drilling down and like
creating lanes.
Yeah, because sometimes the thing that bothered me sometimes in church circles is, obviously leadership is like a huge conversation. Everybody's like going to these leadership conferences and stuff.
Right.
And it's like it's like imposing leadership on something that oftentimes it's overemphasizing structure on something that doesn't need it. What the churches need is that kind of like startup mentality of let's actually do something.
And entrepreneurship. It's not just.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have a staff of 50 people on day one.
Yeah. What our problem is the opposite now. We had all the entrepreneurial stuff. We had all the run and gun fun.
Now it's a great system.
Now it's like, okay, now let's take all this great stuff that we've done and let's really hone it in.
Yeah.
And make sure that we don't,
make replicatable
burn
systems.
the heck out.
Which is, I feel like we're in very similar seasons. So in ministry, our 4-year anniversary is in January, and we've grown at a really fast rate, have gone from a staff of 2 to 12 in under 4 years and all these things in this. So now we're creating, like, how do we create healthy lanes so that people don't burn out, they still love what they do, and they're able to focus on what they're passionate about? Because I think that's important to understand for any entrepreneur, business leader, individual as a whole, that people will last a lot longer when they're doing something that they love and that they're gifted to do, so that they know that they're succeeding. So like from the outside looking in, it is very much so a mark. It's I know you do more than this, so don't take this as like this is all you do, but it seems as a face and a brain. Like there's the Excel spreadsheet, there's the system, the structure, this is the follow through, and this is what we want it to look like. And then doing promotion things with social media and stuff. And obviously there's so much more that both of you do than that, because you're growing at such a fast pace. So that's not all you're doing, but it's important to understand your giftings and then be comfortable at running with people who are better at some things than you are.
And then being comfortable being nimble inside of those opportunities, not being so married to what you think your ideal, contribution is to an organization.
Yeah.
Like when Joe talks about, he glosses over, we started doing more content. He worked his butt off in those early days, just hammering away, figuring out how to do things. So like the face of it thing is twofold. It's one, it was yes, he's out there doing content, but it's also done in such a way, in an approachable way, that it brings in, and it exudes. Our content kind of exudes our values.
Yeah.
And so like, one of our things on that Post-it board that I keep referring to is that we're going to relentlessly pursue our target customer, right? We're not going to chase every nickel that's out there.
Right.
We're going to do what we do. And, the people that everybody's welcome, but the people that get it are the ones that are really going to get it. And I think that that's one of the things that in the content and in the face and the marketing has been presented in a way so that when, you know, these phone calls come with people like, hey, you know, I've seen your content, but I also like your brand. Talking to Joe is an extension of what they've seen. It's not, it's all authentic.
Yeah.
Well, that's the word, is that one of the things that I always, and this is ministry and business, I wasn't willing to be anybody other than myself.
100%.
So a lot of, and that's what I heard you just say about your staff, what you really deeply enjoy doing. If you can keep that kind of like center and focus of like, I'm not gonna, you know, content world is weird. I never thought I would be doing it.
Yeah.
But like,
which if you're not following Another Round Disc Golf, go do that.
Another Round DG.
Yeah, a lot of people that are watching.
Hey, not just for you. I was in a couple videos with you. We did a long series of doubles on different Charlotte courses.
We did good.
Two courses.
No, but you know, not feeling any kind of pressure. What's up, you two? All that kind of like. And I think that, you know, whether it's ministry or whether it's business, there's a lot of like people telling you to fake it till you make it. Like just be the thing that you think you should be. And
you watch their live stream service and then you go to the church and you're like,
whoa,
this is a little different.
Yeah. And so it's like just being willing to just be okay being yourself.
100%.
And not to make this a super ministry thing or whatever, but Frederick Buechner's an author that I really love. He says that true vocation is this. I'm paraphrasing. He said it's the intersecting point where the world's deep hunger and your deep gladness intersects. So a lot of people will do the hunger thing, which is like, what should I be doing? This is what's good. God says he cares about this. I need to do this. But they'll completely neglect this. And so then you'll burn out. Some people just go deep gladness and it's like, well, it never helps anyone. It doesn't matter. You're really stoked about it because, you know, it's selfish. But like finding whatever that weird intersecting point is. I'm not saying that disc golf or Another Round is exactly that perfect intersecting point, but it is.
But it's a tool that's
but
used
it's
to
one
reach
of
that.
But it's one of them. I really love disc golf. I really love disc golfers. I love this community that I found. It's so weird, man. We've got people that like flew here from Germany last week just to come to the store and hang out and see the courses that we play online, and like, you know, all over the world there's disc golfers.
It's one of the most encouraging places on earth, dude.
It's cool.
I've never gone in there and not felt encouraged. I could have met people that I have no clue who I am.
Yeah, right.
I walk in the room, no clue who I am, nor should they.
Yeah, right.
And I'll leave feeling like they all like me. Like we're all friends.
We all have this weird thing in common. Yeah. And so I think, you know, for somebody listening, figuring out what that thing is, like make a difference in the world. Like do something that matters, and also make sure that you are like fully in the center of yourself.
Yeah.
Doing it and enjoying it, not just because it can make money or is successful or is holy or good or whatever, but is like actually something that you uniquely feel God's, you know, delight in.
I mean, I'll make it spiritual. You know, like we were designed to make a difference. We were designed to love our neighbor as ourselves. We were designed to do something that is a greater cause than ourselves. So how have you uniquely been designed to make that difference? You know, what giftings? You don't have to be someone else in order to make a difference in this world, because you were created on purpose and for a
uniquely,
purpose. 100%. So let's talk about something that I think is the most important thing, and it's even before our jobs. Both of you are married. You're both parents of children. And how do you balance having that entrepreneur gift, this rapid pace of growth in under 5 years in an industry that pulls a lot of time and a lot of focus and a lot of intention, with also having a healthy marriage and being a present and healthy parent?
Well, if I had the perfect answer, this would I'd be charging a lot more to be here, but no. No, I mean, it's, you know,
nobody's perfect. We've learned the hard way and the good way sometimes.
Sure.
But
And
what would you say now, 5 years into it?
No. You know, for me, one of the things obviously is an incredibly supportive spouse. My wife Amanda is incredibly supportive in this entire endeavor. You know, it's been cool to watch from her side of things. You know, she graduated. We graduated college, got married right after. She had a journalism PR degree, wasn't able to really find work, wasn't enjoying it, wanted to go back to nursing school and go back to school and become a nurse. And she's done that, been incredibly successful. And so as she was getting into her nursing career was when the round opportunity came up, and we had a lot of conversations, as many conversations as Joe and I had about it. Amanda and I had, as that many and more.
Yeah.
About like, here's what we can expect. Here's what what we're in for. And, then that changed 9 months in when Harper arrived, and then, 3 weeks later, COVID arrived. And so like Amanda has just been, she's been a rock, and we're able to talk through things. And so on that side of things, having that base has been really important. Adding a kid to that has been an entire other dynamic of trying to figure out like, how do I structure my time in a way that I'm getting to be there with her as much as I can. And, when I'm not, one of the things I try to do if I've got to work late is, making sure that I'm explaining that to Harper, talking to him like a kid.
Yeah.
Or talking to him like a human being, right? And like, hey,
right.
I'm going here. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to run this tournament. I'm going to be here. And here's when I'll be back. And we're just like, hey, this is part of life, and you're going to be involved in it. She's at the store all the time. She knows what I do and gets excited about it. And I know Joe has a ton of that with Maggie and Zeke as well, where, they're involved. This is theirs too. Like,
yeah. It's a family thing. It's not just a
it's
thing.
not just me. It's not, I'm not in this for any kind of celebrity or acclaim or, like I'm building something that I want, Harper and my family to be proud of being associated with.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of like as part of the driving factor helps it, helps on the one hand. And, on the other hand is just, I've done the workaholic thing in my life before. I worked for Geico for a lot of years, then took a corporate job when I got up here. And so I've seen what that overworking looks like. And, through a lot of work, going to therapy and things like that, like learned how to counterbalance that too. And so it's just something to be aware of. I'm not perfect at it, but, keeping them involved has been a really big part of it.
Yeah, that's good.
For me, I am definitely like capital L leader, like driver, push. Like
Yeah.
I think that I've for sure been Kyle has had to tell me, can we slow down sometimes? Because I'm the like, let's do it right now.
Yeah.
Like, let's.
In your off time, you're thinking about how to do things.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And so for me, I've had to like really put boundaries up for myself and create lanes that I can stay within, protecting nights and weekends. But, my wife Chelsea is also supportive like Amanda, but she's also like, she's not going to let this ruin our family, ruin our lives.
Yeah.
Like if she sees me too intensely kind of, long calls at night or up on my laptop, whatever, she's like, she's going to tell me. It's like, this is not healthy. And there have been times during these 5 years that it hasn't been healthy. Not in like some major burnout.
Right.
No big like,
but it starts to leak into the impact of other things.
Yeah, it just becomes something that you are like obsessively, compulsively doing.
Right.
And the thing that keeps me always coming back inside of the center is that you get, and you guys are dads, you get one chance at this phase of life with the kids where they're little. And like one of the things that I've done is like try to protect even my mornings. I'm not a 6 a.m. out the door, the kids don't see me. I try to have an hour or two every morning that I can have with them, and like it's protected. I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not working, I'm not doing anything except being with them. The other big thing for me, and I learned it from my dad because he did it with me, is as often as I can bring them to stuff, I'm bringing them. Like we had this big thing where, and this will, the people will snicker at this too, but there's a disc golf world championships, and it's a huge deal within our world. And we were going and doing media for it, and like, highest tier of media, and we're like, have all these responsibilities. But I just brought Zeke along with me, and he just was like right beside me during the biggest moments. And if I'm, this very strange turn of events, like signing autographs and taking pictures, and Zeke being able to see that, like, oh, all this effort that dad is putting into something, like,
this is real.
There are all these people that like know
Right.
about what he's doing,
Right.
and it's growing, and it's, you know, he's seeing some of the other business owners that own another rounds across the country, and all these, you know, industry people that are coming up and like, hey, I need
what
something.
dad is doing when he's not here. Yeah.
So
it's connecting them to it.
Yeah. So that's been something, but it's I wouldn't even come close to saying that it's like here's 5 keys to it. Like,
No,
like
right.
it's not settled. It's
one of the things you learn with experience.
It's an ongoing thing. Yeah.
I think those are such good points, and something that Crystal and I talked about, on a podcast, was just, oftentimes whoever that, the major worker is, or that entrepreneur, even if you both work, there's, the high driven person, especially when you owning a business and operating a business, and even pastoring, we can convince ourselves that making that better and providing for our family at a greater level is more service to our children than to even be present, because I'm doing this for my family. So it's okay for me to spend more time when, like you said, there's only a short season where they're young. And I'm there and struggled with that personally. And Crystal and I talked about it, and talked about how I was less present for the first year of Henley's life than I was for my Harper's life, because, I was working because I was going to provide for my kid and give her this life, and realized that she doesn't care what our house looks like, what car she rides
Is dad
in.
there? Is daddy home?
She just wants to know that every time I come home, she's got a game ready, she's got a craft ready, and she wants to smack me across the head with the pillow and wrestle. And that's what she cares about, is that intentional connection. So I think that that's such an important thing to remind those people, especially if you're here listening, becoming an entrepreneur, a leader. Maybe you're not even into this growth season yet. Maybe you're almost there. How do I get there? Make sure you set habits early before you get there, so that when you're getting there, and there will be busier seasons, like there's always going to be that.
Sure.
But the habits will dictate your health, not the chaos of the season.
That's really good. And what Kyle said earlier, I think is important, is that, as somebody who, I'm still a pastor, I still take Jesus really seriously. We're in a business. We want to grow the business.
Right.
And Jesus says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
So it's semi at odds.
Yeah.
The thing that I have to keep in mind is that the goal is not just growth for growth's sake, money for money's sake, whatever. It's all of the whys behind all of it, and it's creating community in these places. And again, going to sound very churchy, but creating places and spaces where people can be known and belong.
Yeah.
And that
I think that's not even just a churchy thing. That's like a human need.
No, it really is.
It absolutely is.
Obviously is, because that's where it came from. But, everyone needs that.
But we've seen that happen over and over again in these places where, last time I was in Denver, a guy came up to me and was like, asked if we could talk outside. I thought that he was going to be like, these people suck, or, have something negative to say. And he literally broke down and cried and was like, I've lived here for 8 years, and outside of the people that I was directly working with, I knew maybe 2 other people in Denver. He's like, since this store opened, every person that would be at my wedding, that would help me if I moved, every person that's in my life, which is like dozens of people now, happened because I met them inside of the store. Wow. And it's like, that can,
that'll keep you going.
Makes you keep on doing stuff. But to bring it back to the family point, the thing that I've really done is there are things that I absolutely have to do. I can't not do this. It's a part of the job. If I don't do it, something's going to fall apart. There's also a lot of stuff that I could be doing that I don't do.
Yeah.
So travel's a big one for me.
It's good.
I could literally travel every single week of the year and go into prospective places, going to current stores, going and doing these media
Content
things,
major courses, you could do.
Going to Europe. There's people all over the world that are like, anytime you want to, please come here. We'll fly you out. You can do this stuff. And it's a no-go for me.
Yeah.
Because as many nights as many nights as is humanly possible, I want to be inside my house with my kids. And so, I did a work trip to Louisville a couple of weeks ago or a couple months ago, and I left at 7 a.m. and I flew back home at 8 p.m. or something like that. Not even an overnight, just there and back because, that's a big part of it for me is just trying to be physically there.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. I gained a lot from this conversation. Like I just growing and talking about it and processing it. And for me, I process things better when I'm talking about it. So that's really the goal of these conversations is to process how to become a better person, a better leader, a better father through all of it. So I just want to say thank you guys for all that you do as individuals, for being such great friends. I can confidently say that both of you have played a major role in my life and have made me a better person. So I'm grateful for it. And hopefully that's impacted other people in a positive way.
Well, I'm very proud of you, buddy.
Things outside of just disc golf addictions.
No, it's really cool. I think, there's a lot of stuff both in the disc golf world and the world in general. And it's like, well, what do we, how do we fix this? Right. It can feel like this divide and all that. And I see the way that you two specifically do church gives me a lot of hope because I think it does come right back. It's like, well, it's in red, right? Jesus said, do these things. Like these are the most important things. It's how you treat people, you know, how you care about the poorest among you and, how you, and being in a position to help those people, right? Being able to just say, hey, take this disc, right? Just like down to something silly like that. Like like my whole family,
mean the world to them.
It really does. My whole family is in ministry, and so I asked my dad once. My brother's as a pastor in a big church. My sister's been in music and all this stuff. And my whole family. And so I asked him, I'm like, does it bother you that your oldest son didn't go into ministry, and like that, and owns a bar and a gambling hall. We do like a online raffle thing, and so we joked about it being a gambling. So your oldest son went the other way and like owns a bar and a gambling hall, whatever. And he just chuckled. He's like, man, he goes, the stories you tell me about your people. I told him the Denver story and all these things. He's like, you're doing exactly what
100%.
Jesus asked you to.
Yeah.
And church is, it's a whole other podcast, but church is a complicated thing for me. But one of the things that I've seen ring really true is like when Jesus talks about, where 2 or 3 are gathered.
Yeah.
I've seen that outside of church
100%.
so much clearer in these places where people come in and all they have in common is disc golf.
Yep.
But then they have all these other things, this empathy for their fellow human being, and they make these connections. They bridge those divides, and it's just like this is church, right? Yeah. This is what we're supposed to be doing, and so it's been a really rewarding experience.
Yeah.
Proud of you, buddy. Yeah. I love what you're doing at the church here and seeing the trajectory of going from I think one of the coolest things about your path is that all of the people that are around you are people that like watched you in nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus says, the prophets without honor his hometown, the whole thing. Like going from being that to being somebody that people respect as like spiritual leader and like the credibility that you have with them and the fact that there's all this growth happening. I think it is like a 5x harder path than if you came in and did what you just did, but in Nebraska at some other place, and people just know you as, oh, I'm an adult and I have facial hair and I'm a person and I wear pants and whatever.
Yeah.
But to do it within your hometown, I think it speaks to, because you can't bull crap your way with these people because they know you.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think the community that you've built here, the people that are part of this thing that I love, that I grew up with, I'm just freaking so proud of you, bud.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. We'll go ahead and end it with just me in tears and all emotional over here. It's fine. Don't look at me. But hope you guys have gained something from this conversation, that it's helped you become a better person, a better leader in whatever area or aspect of life that you're in. Make sure and go follow all the Another Round things. I know this is like the cringy part that even if you're watching it this far, we just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
But make sure you go follow it all on Instagram and YouTube, not even just because they need it, but because it's good and fun content to watch Joseph throw 10,000 aces. And
there are people in my life that say that they do follow us that have never played disc golf, but it's just oddly satisfying, they say.
So satisfying. I still believe that I was there for your best ace, that 13 at like Eastway, whatever it was. That had to be top 3.
We went nuts.
Of all the throws
in
that
the
you had.
in the YouTube, have Jake put the clip of me and you freaking out about
clip
that.
it, chains right here, all the B-roll, fun thing.
Some headwind. Keep it lifted. Oh, please, Joseph. Please go in. No, there's not a chance.
Get the mic.
There's no way. It just smashed chains. I'm losing the tripod.
No!
It came out.
He got it.
Let's go, dude.
As God is my witness, first throw.
Smash the chain.
Oh.
I know this is like a content bag, but that thing's got to stay in there forever.
There's no way.
I'm excited. My shoulder's feeling better, so I need to get back out there and play with literally the last time I played was that
holy smokes
tournament round, so that I had to stop.
All right,
I remember
but
that.
we've been getting KP fit and all types of things to try to get some actual more than just
strong.
skin and bone. So
I love it.
I'm just shouting out all the
All the Phillips family
real
businesses.
quick. We're excited. Lauren's getting married. What else can we talk about? Maddie, but love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for watching. And hope to see you again soon.
See you guys.